Chapter 10. Declare the Glory. This morning we went through our morning rituals the same way we had the last few days, except this time, as we were finishing our ohms, someone came walking through the front door unexpectedly. I jumped up from the floor, startled to think about who might be coming into the house this early. Pono, although also surprised, didn't seem as concerned. She slowly made her way to her feet and headed toward the door. "Hello?" she called out. "Oh, hey, it's just me," answered the intruder, who I figured out by the voice was Kaitiki. "Oh, happy rising. Come on in," Pono greeted her as she met her near the doorway. Kaitiki walked into the living room with an armful of garments. "Good morning, Kaitiki," I said as she entered. "Oh, hey, happy rising, Sandra." "I'm just dropping off these dresses for Harmonia," she replied. "These two are for you to bring to the girls. This one's for you, Pono, and this one's for you, Sandra." She laid the dresses down on the table in front of us. They were beautifully crafted garments with an indescribable blend of elegance, sexiness, and casual style. I don't know how that's even possible, but somehow she does it. "These are the festival dresses. They are all custom designs I've been working on." "Wow, thank you so much," I replied, although I was immediately hit with a wave of insecurity, imagining myself actually wearing it. "Of course," she replied, "and this other one is for you as well, Sandra." She handed me another garment. This one was an all-white gown, more conservative and plain, but still spectacular in its own way. "I don't know if you've made up your mind about ceremony yet, but if you decide to join, it's traditional to wear all white." "Oh, wow. Thank you so much," I answered. "I really appreciate it." I picked up the dresses, felt the soft fabric, and admired the detailed craftsmanship. "I figured you could drop them off to the girls since you're going to the site today," she said to Pono. "And if you don't mind, could you also please drop off my drum and rattles also?" "Sure, that's no problem," Pono replied. "Thanks. I'll put them in your back seat. There are a few other things as well." "Great. Have you been to the festival at all yet?" "Yeah, I was there all day yesterday. I did a workshop with the girls in the morning and then spent the rest of the day wandering around the exhibits and seeing everyone. I also went to my friend's show at night." "But you're not going today?" I asked. "No, yesterday was great, but it was a lot. I'm just going to lay low today and prepare for the medicine tomorrow." "Medicine?" I asked, unsure of what she meant. "Yeah, at ceremony," she replied casually. I looked at her with a confused expression. "We'll be serving a sacred medicine tomorrow," she said to me before turning to Pono. "Did you not have this discussion with her yet?" "No, not yet. I figured today was the right day for that," she replied as she looked toward me. "Oh, okay, well, I have to get going, and I know you do too." We exchanged hugs and said goodbye. After Kaitiki left, Pono said, "Let's have some breakfast and head to orientation. We'll talk it over in the car." As we backed down the driveway, I noticed the boxes left by Kaitiki in the back seat. There was a large drum painted with two double-sided arrows intersecting in the center and pointing in the four directions of north, south, east, and west. In the center were delicately painted geometric patterns surrounding the intersection and flowing out in all directions. I also saw a small box with all different kinds of handmade jewelry and a second box with hand-painted rattles and other various small instruments and noisemakers. I couldn't help but want to curiously dig through the boxes and try them all. As we pulled out onto the road, I turned and faced forward. "Okay, so let's cut to the chase," I said to Pono in a mildly playful way, trying to make light of the quote-unquote talk we were saving for the car. "What does Kaitiki mean by sacred medicine?" "She is referring to a medicine that my family has been serving for 7 generations," she started. "When honored as a sacrament, it's a medicine that helps us release and realign. It helps us cleanse ourselves of the tension and blockages that are preventing us from accessing the Most High. It helps us see directly in, like a mirror, so we can explore our subconscious and examine our blind spots." "Okay, And it's called? It goes by many names, but the one you would know it as is psilocybin. Mushrooms? Yes. I pulled my head back with a squinted, surprised expression. I was not expecting that. I figured as much, she said somewhat jokingly, but I promise you, the healing properties are really powerful. I cut her off. I know, actually. One of my close friends from college has been on the cutting edge research of psychedelic medicine in the last decade. It was very new at the time we were all in school together and kind of taboo, honestly. But she stuck to it. She really believed in it. Now it's becoming a major discussion among healthcare academia. Has she ever shared about her research? Yeah, I've peer-reviewed a lot of her papers, and we keep in decent contact. I also follow her company's performance. The results they are having with patients battling severe depression and anxiety is mind-blowing. When you hear about this, have you ever felt called to explore it yourself? No, not really. I don't have anxiety or depression. Pono turned and raised her eyebrows at me with an "are you kidding" expression. You are a millennial in modern America, she replied. It's not whether or not you have anxiety and depression. It's to what degree do you suffer from anxiety and depression, she chuckled. Even though Pono still held a very negative perspective of our mental and emotional health, she seemed to be delivering it a little more gently as I was getting to know her. But that's beside the point, Pono added. The real problem is that you need someone else to give you permission to heal. You have to be at an extreme level of disease in order to be approved for the best healing practices. Does this seem okay to you? Well, it's a Schedule I substance, I replied. They can't just have everyone openly doing psychedelic substances whenever they want. She shook her head and chuckled again. You are 100% correct. They definitely cannot have that. I found her response a little odd, but she quickly moved on. But anyway, you will be in a safe environment with all the support you need. And although I will respect your decision regardless, the truth is, we'd really love to have you. I didn't answer right away because I really had no clue what to say. I wasn't having a strong gut feeling either way. I honestly felt uncertain. Oh, you know this is a hard one for me, I said as I dropped my head back against the headrest. First God, now drugs. Medicine, she corrected me immediately. Right, I answered. It's just, I don't know. It might sound crazy, but I'm actually starting to feel myself changing. Don't get me wrong, I like it, I really do. It's just happening fast. I looked out the window and sighed a deep exhale. I have to go back to my life after this, I explained. The others are all gung-ho on shift and the code and everything, but I have to keep myself grounded in the real world, you know? Less than a week ago, I was an atheist straight edge. Now I'm considering committing to a psychedelic spiritual journey. That's a little extreme, that's all. It feels kind of reckless. Well, if it helps to know, I'm proud of you for even considering it. After all, it is very extreme, she shared with me. I see you, Sandra. I see you growing. What Kai Tiki was saying at dinner the other night, I see it too. If I didn't, I wouldn't have invited you to sit in ceremony with us tomorrow. Really? I thought you invited all of your students. Nope, she shook her head. I invite the ones I think are ready. Her recognition and belief in me felt really good. Thanks, that means a lot, but I just don't want to totally lose myself, you know? Are you losing yourself? She asked in a politely challenging way. Or are you finding yourself? We drove in silence for a few moments as I processed that question in my head. She always had a way of helping me see the other side. Maybe it wasn't that I was losing myself and forgetting who I am. Maybe I'm just remembering who I am, like she said I would. Your heart, it's big, she went on. If I had to guess, I'd bet your car is covered with bumper stickers for every save the fill-in-the-blank foundation there is. I giggled, a little embarrassed. Yep, that's me. It's because you care. You're the bleeding heart liberal. You want to see a better world and devote yourself to what you think is right, no matter how impractical your solutions are. Wait, Was that a dig? I thought. That's why we recruited you. She turned toward me and continued. You're a leader. Thank you, I replied with sincerity. One thing is for sure. Despite our difference in viewpoints, when I'm with you in Kaitiki, I feel seen. Pono replied with just a smile, but it was the warmest, most sincere smile I had seen from her yet. And in that moment, I felt something really special was forming between the two of us. And I'm pretty certain she felt the same way. Thanks for giving me the space to think about it, I answered. Let me just focus on these 2 classes right now, and I will let you know by the end of the day. Pono nodded firmly and responded with, Aho. The first session for today was all about nutritional preparation for shift. And although it's unlikely I'll need any of this, I was still interested in learning more about their nutritional philosophies. The teacher walked out and introduced himself as Heyoka. I remembered his lean, wiry body and long black curly hair from the first day. He stood in front, barefoot with linen pants and an unbuttoned, sleeveless vest that exposed his many tattoos, the most prominent being a large coyote on his arm. He started with a basic overview of why proper nutritional preparation was paramount for our success in the program. He spoke with great conviction about the role of the physical body in the transformational process of the mental, emotional, and spiritual being as a whole. He made some very interesting points, but nothing that surprised me until we got into the details of his recommendation. I was expecting him to prescribe a specific macronutrient protocol with an ideal balance of proteins, carbs, and fats to keep us both lean and fueled. My dieting journey has been admittedly hot and cold throughout my life, but when I have committed, it's always been to a precise weighing and measuring process to keep my macros in balance. Heyoka, however, presented us with something much different. He gave us 3 main guidelines to follow that were fairly simple. It was basically 1, eat a plant with every meal. 2, eat mostly food that was grown within 100 miles of your home. And 3, if you eat packaged food, only choose options that have the energetic intention of making you better. Although it wasn't what I was expecting, I'm happy to give it a try. I've been feeling great this week with all the amazing food that we've been eating, and I'm extra motivated being surrounded by all of the fit and healthy people of Okablaya. I have every intention of keeping this momentum going when I get home. After he presented these guidelines, a woman raised her hand to ask a question. Are these guidelines mandatory? She started. I'm sure this is great, but some of us have individual goals that require different diets. There are a lot of different theories on how to eat, so I'm just wondering if we have to choose this one specific theory. Nature does not operate on theories, Heyoka responded boldly to her question. It operates on laws. He looked back out to the rest of the crowd. These guidelines are not laws, but they will prepare you for your quest to learn the laws. Does anyone care to guess how you will learn these laws? Everyone looked around at each other, but no one dared take a stab at it. You will see them for yourself and feel them for yourself, he explained. These laws are universally observable in all humans. You will explore and experiment with different approaches until you experience the truth in your own body. I like the sound of that approach. And when it comes to Mother Nature, he continued, her laws are simple, but her punishments are harsh. He paused for a few moments, clearly wanting to get that point across. I even noticed several students jotting it down. And this is no more evident than in the realm of nutrition, he continued. But to answer your question, no, nothing is mandatory. You are free to make your own decisions. This is merely my recommendation. Okay, thank you, she replied. I'll just follow the recommendations. It's okay. Heyoka nodded politely at the woman and returned his attention to the rest of the class. Once you arrive, there will be one aspect of your nutritional journey that is not a recommendation, but is a required part of the training, he explained. This will be an extended fast. The room broke out into a panic of whispers and grumbles. The fast will be between 7 to 14 days, he explained over the noise, quieting the group. The exact number will be determined as you move your way through it, with as much support and guidance as you need. This has been the first step in the journey for every student who has ever enrolled in shift school, and it always will be. I'm sorry, but why? A girl who I recognized from Dr. Siri's class blurted out. It will help empty your vessel, lower your density, and assist in your vibrational upgrades. This is key to accessing the wisdom that is resonating above your current frequency. If you want to access the highest intelligence, you have to reside in an elevated state of existence. In other words, to best find the light, you must become light. Generally speaking, the class still seemed concerned, including me. There will be plenty of opportunities to discuss the length and parameters of your individual fast, and they will vary based on a multitude of factors. A man raised his hand, but called out his question without waiting. Are there some, studies or something we can read to understand this more? He asked. I'm having a hard time seeing how starving ourselves to death is going to help us concentrate better in class. First off, you are not starving yourself, he answered quickly. You are choosing to fast, which will have a completely different effect on the body than food being withheld from you against your will. Secondly, this is not some biohack to help you concentrate better or retain more information. In some ways, it's the opposite. This is about cleansing the body and mind, releasing the information of old and limiting beliefs that are playing on loop in your subconscious. It's about clearing blockages, letting go of attachments, and unlocking the wisdom that has been inside of you for all of eternity. Heyoka stood tall and locked his hands behind his back as he walked back and forth across the stage. Of course, we will have a lot more to talk about when you arrive back, but if you are still having doubts, I have a story that might help. We all perked up in anticipation. Who remembers the name Pythagoras? You mean the triangle guy? A man called out. Yes, the triangle guy, best known for the Pythagorean theorem, although he did much more. My curiosity was piqued. Well, Pythagoras was believed to be one of the smartest minds on earth during his life, and when he wanted to expand his knowledge and deepen his studies, he set forth on a journey to enroll in the Egyptian mystery schools. But despite his reputation and accolades, he was continually denied access to the schools until he completed a 40-day fast. Heyoka paused for dramatic effect. Now, Pythagoras did not agree with this prerequisite and was not interested in such a thing. He is known to have said, "I have not come for discipline, I have come for knowledge," to which he was famously told, "No knowledge is knowledge if it is not experienced." Finally, Pythagoras begrudgingly set forth on his fast, and after 40 days he was accepted into the school. Upon his acceptance, he shared some very famous words of his own with his teachers. Does anyone know what he said? Heyoka realized pretty quickly that none of us knew or were even going to try and guess. He said, "You are not allowing Pythagoras in. I am a different man. I am reborn. You were right and I was wrong, because then my whole standpoint was intellectual. Through this purification, my center of being has changed. Before this training, I could only understand through the intellect, through the head. Now I can feel. Now truth is not a concept to me, but a life." I had never learned of his life in this way, and was quite surprised to hear this story. Before I could only understand through the head, but now I can feel. Heyoka repeated this paraphrased quote for extra emphasis. I will leave you with that story to sit on as you mentally prepare for the fast. After a few moments of silence, several people started to get up, thinking the class had ended. However, Heyoka shared one final message before closing. Eating is far more than chewing and swallowing, he began. Eating is a transmission of energy from outside of our body to inside, then back out again. It is a cycle that can be performed from a place of scarcity or a place of abundance. In Okablaya, We eat in cyclical abundance. When you are off island, you are free to eat however you want. But if you are going to synchronize with the frequency field of our land, it is necessary to eat within this same cycle. He then thanked us all for our openness to the idea and dismissed the class.
What's up, Primordial people? Short and sweet one for you today, but super important. At this point, you've gotten plenty of reminders about sharing the story and supporting the show, so I'm not here to do that today. Instead, I'm here to help you do it better. At this point, you're probably getting frustrated because you're running out of ideas on how to support the show. You've sent it to your friends, you've told people at work, you've subscribed on whatever platform you were listening, and now you're stumped. What else is there? What else can I do to help? Well, here are a few ideas you may not have thought of. First, leave a 5-star review. On Apple and Spotify, it's super helpful to hit that 5-star button and drop a couple of lines with what you love about the show. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button and drop a comment below. You can even leave comments on multiple episodes, sharing thoughts about your favorite lines or scenes as they come. Number 2, share the trailer. If you didn't already see it, there's a cinematic trailer pinned to the top of my Instagram page. It's been really helpful in driving people toward the story. But in our algorithm-driven world, it needs constant feeding to stay relevant. So if you want to give it a boost, you can help keep it alive and circulate it with likes, saves, comments, and most of all, shares. Shoot it around to a few friends. Share it to your story. Tell the world how you've been feeling about the Primordial Code, and those who are ready to quest for the code will come. And number 3, while you're on IG, make sure to give me a follow. Brian.Costello with an underscore at the end is my handle. And please, send me a quick DM letting me know you came in through the code so I can give you a follow back and stay connected. If you already follow me but I'm not following you back, message me and let me know so we can link up. That's it for today. Now back to the Primordial Code.
After lunch, we reconvened for session 2, which was the last official session of the orientation. Being the last time we would all officially come together, this time slot was dedicated to the logistical details of shift. As one might imagine, this wasn't overly exciting, but there were a few interesting takeaways. The first being that they have their own secure internet called the DDC. It stands for Decentralized Digital Common Space. We now have instructions that will allow us to access it from our normal servers without being detected, and everything is fully encrypted, so no one from the outside can steal any private information or read our conversations. The DDC is where we will be submitting our final response for shift training, which leads me to another interesting point. We were told we have until next Friday to submit our official answer. She explained that this will give everyone a chance to process their experience and think through their decision in full. I agree that this is really helpful, and the rest of the group seemed to receive it very positively as well. The biggest thing for me personally was being informed that even if we elect not to continue with the training, we can stay in contact with our mentor and others via the communication platform. The idea of keeping close contact with Pono and Kaitiki felt really good to me, and removed a big factor from my decision, since maintaining those relationships would be about the only thing that would get me to reconsider my decision. Lastly, she informed us that everyone would be paid 150% of their current salary for 6 months total. Needless to say, the consensus around this was positive, albeit hard to believe for a few. After the logistics talk, Chief Inganyama came back out on stage to send us off with a closing speech. It was very short and somewhat cryptic as he hinted toward new military-style additions to the program. This instantly took me for another loop on the emotional roller coaster I'd been riding all week about the big picture goals of this project. In my opinion, Shift was starting to sound like a spiritual boot camp designed to prepare undercover soldiers to go back home and transform society. On the way home, I asked Pono about this. So now that orientation is over, can you be more transparent with me about the big picture goals of this project? I'm not really sure I understand what happens after shift. Like, what exactly do the graduates do when they return home? I mean, I get that they are living differently and how much impact that can have and all that. But are they just going back to their normal lives, or are they now working on this mission full time? I'm happy to share more, but I want to gently remind you that right now the important focus is whether or not shift is the right choice for you. It is not wise to think too far ahead and let future decisions interfere with your present situation, she started. Right now, we need to get to a simple yes or no answer for the next portion of the training, based solely on whether or not that is what's best for you in this moment. It took a conscious effort not to roll my eyes in frustration at her response. What I can tell you, though, is that the decisions after graduation are not as simple and straightforward, she explained. There are a lot more factors to consider at that stage. Like what? Well, the biggest would be how much of their life someone wants to dedicate to the mission after they finish the training. A lot can change in those 3 months, and it's not uncommon for graduates to want to dedicate more of their time and energy to the mission than they originally anticipated. Then, once we know where they fall on that spectrum, we work together to help figure out the integration strategy that aligns with the other variables in their life, like where they live, what they currently do for work, what sort of skills they have, what kind of network they are connected to, what sort of resources they have access to, and things like that. We work together to find the unique intersection of all these variables and create a plan. Oftentimes, graduates will group up and relocate to work together. Other times, graduates will be connected to Delphins who are already off island and established in their tasks. We have a whole team that is dedicated to helping with this process. They are fully tuned into everything that is happening off island, where we are having the best results and where more help is needed. They've been tracking the spread of the Primordial Code every step of the way. Oh, okay. So graduates do not just go off on their own once they finish? Oh no, of course not. Our support is endless, even for those who decide they just want to go home and live their normal life as a more complete person. Those graduates are supported just the same. That's good to know, I answered. Pono was silent for the next few minutes before asking me a very straightforward question I wasn't expecting. If you had to make your decision about shift right now, what would you choose? I felt a little uncomfortable, as my decision had not changed, although I got the sense Pono had hoped it had. Well, you already know that it's not a really realistic choice for me right now, I explained, with work and everything. What's everything? She followed up. Well, work and just life in general. Things are busy right now. I wouldn't have the capacity to devote myself to anything like this. Pono nodded politely. I will say, though, this has truly been a life-changing experience, and I have so much appreciation for what you have taught me this week. Kaitiki, too. This was the transformational experience I didn't know I needed, I said with a laugh. Pono laughed along as she reminded me, well, we still have 1 day left, and whether you attend ceremony or not, I have a feeling the festival will be a nice exclamation point on your experience. That's true, I replied in excitement. But the excitement faded quickly as I could suddenly feel the weight of that decision upon me again. The drive to the Harmonia event site was in the next district over, an area I had not been to yet. The long drive gave me time to contemplate all the things that were upon me at the moment, mainly my decision regarding this sacred ceremony. I had to give Pono an answer within the next couple of hours, and I was still very unsure of myself. On one hand, it felt right to just let go and keep riding the wave, so to speak. With all of the new and exciting things I've been allowing myself to experience since I've been here, why stop now? It was like the universe was guiding me to this ceremony, and to not participate feels like I'm pushing back rather than letting go, as I've been told to do many times this week. On the other hand, it's honestly, crazy. I've never touched a mind-altering substance, no less a psychedelic drug. I have no idea what to expect, and I don't even know what I could potentially gain from it. On paper, the risk-reward seems to be very heavily weighted toward risk and away from reward. I finally restarted the conversation when I asked Pono, am I properly prepared for this ceremony tomorrow? It seems like something that would require some kind of protocol leading in. You've been unplugged from all media for almost a week. You've been off work. You've eaten nothing but the healthiest foods from the purest sources. You've slept well. You've exercised. You've connected with yourself and others. And you've meditated every morning, she said, in a tone which made the next two words almost unnecessary. You're ready. What is it that I'm supposed to get out of it exactly? I asked. That's not for me to decide. That's between you and the medicine, she answered. You may not get exactly what you want, but you'll get exactly what you need. That doesn't really sway me in the right direction, I said sarcastically. There is no right direction to be swayed, she replied. I'm being honest with you about what to expect so you can make the best decision for yourself, by yourself. Shortly after that exchange, we could see the festival in the distance. I couldn't quite make out the details, but I saw what seemed like thousands of people down by the beach, with dozens of large tents, floats, exhibits, and musical stages. I could even hear the music faintly in the distance. I sat up tall and leaned forward to try and see a little better. It was a magnificent sight. Unfortunately, we made a sharp turn sooner than I was expecting, and the event site faded from view. We are going to the Maloka, she explained. It's set back a couple of miles from the main site, so we can have peace and quiet. The Maloka is what? Where the ceremony is held? It's the sacred space where we will commune, she explained. It's nearly set, but I want to drop off Kaitiki's belongings and just make sure everything is fully ready for tomorrow. We turned off the main road down a dirt path that led us into the dense jungle. It was narrow and bumpy, and a little dark from the dense plant life. We eventually reached a clearing with a circular hut in the middle and some open land around it. We parked the car in the open land to the side and got out. We emptied the boxes from the car and placed them on the ground. Just wait here for a moment, Pono said. I'm going to go in and check in with the others first. I'll come back and get you when the time is right. Oh, okay, I answered, a bit disappointed I wasn't able to enter yet. As Pono walked away, I looked around at the grounds a bit more. The Maloka was a beautifully crafted wooden building, circular with a high point in the middle and a deck around the perimeter. There were also 2 other small buildings on the side that had to be bathrooms. Toward the back of the lot, there was a row of small huts for lodging. After I scoped out my surroundings, my eyes were brought back to the boxes that Kaitiki had asked us to bring. I crouched down and began inspecting the instruments more closely. Out of the box, I grabbed a long tube-like cylinder, and as I did, there came a sound of beads rushing from one end to the other. I recognized it right away as a rain stick, even though I'd only ever seen one a few times in my life. I gently tilted the stick up and down and listened to the calming sound of the beads moving back and forth. I repeated this a few more times, enjoying it quite a bit. Next, I grabbed a wooden instrument that was sitting at the bottom of the box. It was a small cube with a hole in the middle. Above the hole were several metal keys, somewhat like a piano. I plucked the keys slowly, listening to the reverberation from each through the hollow cube. It was a unique sound, almost like a child's toy, and was very peaceful as well. Like a kid on Christmas, I moved on quickly and rummaged through the box for more. The next thing that caught my eye was a pair of tuning forks. I picked one up and struck it with a small rubber mallet that went with it. It made the most crisp and clear ding sound I had ever heard, and vibrated for at least 15 to 20 seconds with every hit. I struck the forks many times, and with each hit I felt myself relax a little more. I was just sitting, leaning against the truck, zoning out to the hum of the tuning forks when I heard someone coming from behind me. Sandra? I jerked my head in surprise and quickly put the forks back in the box. Dr. Siri, I responded. You startled me. What are you doing here? Oh, I'm sorry, he replied. I was just surprised to see you out here sitting by yourself. It's okay. I'm just waiting for Pono. She's inside. Ah, I see. My wife is in there as well, although she should be done soon. I'm here to pick her up, and then we were going to head down to the festival. Are you sitting in the ceremony with them tomorrow? I'm not sure yet. I'm still trying to decide. Okay then. I don't want to be in your way while you think. I will move along. No, it's okay. Why don't you wait here with me? Well, if you think that's best, sure, he said as he made his way down into a cross-legged position that looked remarkably easy and comfortable for a man of his age. I handed him one of the forks and a second mallet from the box. We sat quietly, leaning against the cars, silently taking turns striking the forks and enjoying the long, relaxing vibration. In my normal life, sitting next to someone I don't know very well would make me a little anxious, and I would undoubtedly just fill the empty space with meaningless chit-chat. But after almost a week here, I was beginning to learn how just being in each other's presence was sometimes enough, and didn't automatically have to feel awkward just because no one was talking. After many minutes of this, I quietly placed my fork back in the box and let my head lean back against the car. "Dr. Siri," I said. "Call me Yabud, please." "Okay, Yabud. I've been thinking a lot about the story you told yesterday, about your time as a scientist with NASA." "Go on." "You were very cryptic and vague about what you found, but it sounded to me like you found proof of God," I shared. "Can you really prove God's existence scientifically?" "That's not such a simple answer, dear," he replied. "It's not really a yes or no question. It's just that for me personally, to know there is scientific proof of God would change everything for me. It's what I need to believe, you know? I've never believed it because no one could ever prove it." He took a long pause as he set his fork back down in the box. "You know, Sandra, I think about this often, and I have been for many years now," he explained. "For so long I was angry at the events that transpired, and the more I watched the world suffer, the more upset I would become, knowing that if they knew what I knew, everything would be different. I'm sure you can see how hard this would be on me." "Yes, of course," I replied. "But now I see it differently. Now I don't believe that anyone is meant to prove God to anyone else," he explained. "I believe that a person can only prove God's existence to themselves." He looked off into the distance as a gentle breeze swept through. "God is not something that is supposed to be proven by some authoritative organization. To me, it's not supposed to be someone else who tells you who and what God is. Do you understand?" I nodded emphatically. "Of course, there is plenty of space for great teachers and mentors, but in the end, it is up to each of us to find God on our own. It is a process of discovery that is unique to each of us and will unfold precisely how it is supposed to through each of our own specific life events. We will get exactly the lessons we need at precisely the right moments, like a trail of breadcrumbs leading you to the light." I sounded softly as he spoke. "And through this discovery process, we can each define the terms of our own beliefs, have our own individual interpretations, and most importantly, foster our own relationship with this great spirit." After letting the words process, I responded with, "As a lifelong atheist, I never thought I would say this, but I think I've begun this process of discovery. I can't really explain it or put it into words, but I think I'm starting to feel it." "That's beautiful," he replied, "and a perfect example of why it's not important to let our study of the upper atmosphere disrupt your intuitive process. Don't worry about what I know. You will be able to understand just fine on your own." I rolled my head toward him and smiled, to which he smiled back. "You know something, Sandra?" he asked. "I hardly ever think about my discoveries as a scientist anymore. I find that the more I think I know, the more I interfere with the awe and wonder of this great mystery. And the more I learn, the more apparent it becomes how little I really know." I paused still, intrigued by this paradox. "You want to know what helps me remember this?" he asked. "Sure." "A Bible verse." "Oh, the Bible?" I replied as I squirmed uncomfortably. "Psalms 19:1, he replied. "Are you familiar with Psalms 19:1? "Not one bit," I answered laughingly. "My mentor, the founder of NASA, the person who understands space more than anyone who has ever lived, has one thing, other than his name and dates written on his tombstone. 1 word, 3 numbers. Psalms 19:1. What does it say in Psalms 19:1? I asked curiously. The first line says, "Let the heavens declare the glory of God," he explained. "Let the heavens declare the glory of God," I repeated back softly. "That's right. Let the heavens declare the glory of God," he said one more time. This is on his tombstone, mind you. This is not something he tweeted or an interesting verse he mentioned in an interview one time. This is what he chose to put on his tombstone, Sandra. Right, I said, not totally sure why he was emphasizing that point so clearly. This is NASA, dear. When was the last time you heard anyone from NASA acknowledge the existence of either heaven or God? I don't think I ever have, I replied. You haven't, but that's besides the point. The point is, now, when I look above, I no longer try to figure out what exactly is up there or dream about how to get there. Not at all. Now when I look up, I simply do as I'm told and let the heavens declare the glory of God, he explained as he tilted his head up toward the sky. I look up in amazement, in wonder, in awe of the mystery he or she or it has so magically created for each of us to experience. I ponder the unknown, the paradoxes, the secrets in the same way I revere the wisdom and truth. I release myself from the need to know and just surrender. I simply declare the glory. Wow, thank you so much for sharing that, I responded. Of course, he answered. Now come on, let's bring these boxes up to the doorway. We picked up the boxes and made our way toward the entrance of the Maloka. I know Pono told me to wait, but I figured if I was with Yabud it was okay. In the end, it didn't matter, because right as we arrived at the front step, Pono was walking out the door. Oh, there you are. I was just coming to wave you in. I took my shoes off and stepped in. As I looked around the room, my jaw dropped to the floor. The walls all around were painted with breathtaking murals of animals and plants. The altar in the center was covered in handcrafted decor and wooden statues. The room smelled of smoky scents of slowly burning herbs. Around the perimeter were crystal singing bowls, hand-painted drums, and magnificent gongs. There were individual squares of soft carpet laid out for participants to sit on, and a single beam of sunlight shining through the hole in the center of the roof right onto the altar. The energy of the room was like stepping into an entirely different dimension. At first I was speechless, but after a few moments I said 2 words out loud more confidently than any words I'd ever spoken. I'm in.
Sadak magi bugin chen ko chega tu tse chor tor de she la yo kong kun son tun dong bao tu pe da la